Caleb, you ready?
Yeah. I've been ready.
I'll put music on.
Yeah, my music.
I guess is what we're gonna have to listen to.
Music?
Yes, I'll put it in the vibrate now.
Okay, call the meeting to order, stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, motion to approve the agenda with one change, and that will be after item number 7, we'll have executive session for negotiations.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Aaron. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public communications? None? Motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion?
A couple add-ons.
Pardon?
You had a couple add-ons.
Yes, I put those in, these are different than what was published in the paper, so that I just need to bring attention to that. And that's just because, you know, we got our bills right up until the last day of June, and so I've just made, it's not a lot of changes, just a few little ones
I
there.
noticed they were mostly utilities.
Yeah,
Gee.
and to be honest with you, I mean, utilities did go up a lot, but the utilities down at the, on Main Street, yeah, they just
Oh.
really jumped down there, so we need a new CTE wing.
We're gonna get one.
Yes.
I know we went through this and I was surprised a little bit. Our computer tech, that type thing, we're actually down about 10% or so, which is surprising.
Right, and I think it all depends on the rotation, and then
Well,
also.
we've been running around 20%. I
Right,
noticed that before too.
Yep.
I just hadn't got to it. Which is-
yeah, so this is a good year for that, and then also, Mrs. Block and I, we kinda came up with a plan where, you know, the REAP, there's also REAP money, which
Yep,
you'll see
I
is in
saw
a
that.
different part, you know, which is 40-some thousand.
So we're just having
Yeah,
a good year.
it's a good year
We're
for
gonna be back
technology.
up. Our tech budget will,
Right,
we expect it to be in that 20% range.
right.
As it's been. That's all I had.
But are there any other questions, anything you want me to go through? We are closing the bond fund. We do have the budget for the capital projects. Otherwise, whatever we went over in May, we don't have a lot of changes. Levies are all the same. Did drop the special ed as we had discussed.
Yeah, I think it looks, everything looked good. I mean, you look at where we ended at the end of the year, our reserves are solid. You know, for the cash flow, that's a big deal. I mean, we have months where it can be a little bit short, just depending where the bills are and how far we get away from our twice annual tax payments. The general fund looks strong, the capital outlay fund looks strong. Realistically, I don't think there's that many boards across the state of South Dakota, whether they be school boards or county or municipal boards, that are saying, yeah, we're not raising any levy at our level. As a matter of fact, we are lowering one levy, especially with all of the inflation, just like you talked about, with the utilities coming in significantly higher. I mean, utilities are gonna take up a significant amount more of our budget, and I'm sure when we get to the food service budget, eventually to figure out how much do we have to spend to pay all for those meals, it's probably not gonna be the same that it was 2 years ago. So the fact that we can do all of this, I think the taxpayers should be really happy. It's a solid budget. Thanks for everything you did, Jim and Lori, putting that together.
Strike what I said to you offline just a minute ago about our valuation. It is up just a little bit. So our valuation is up just a little bit, but our levy is down.
Correct.
Essentially, yeah, it is down. The one thing I noticed, Lori, was with the enrollment. Is that our projected enrollment?
504? Is that what it says?
Yes.
507.
507? Yes.
Okay.
That was at the end of the school year when we calculate the number of seniors who are graduating and the anticipated kindergartners, pre-kindergartners.
Okay.
And then it fluctuates over the summer. I would say we've
I have-
actually seen an increase in the last week and a half.
I have 12 so far.
Easy. Let's-
Yeah, yeah,
Slow the
that
roll.
jinxes us.
Slow the roll,
We're getting to Todd.
you know,
There'll be more.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully more.
Okay.
All right, any other conversation about the budget? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Conflicts disclosure? None? Motion to approve the minutes of our June 13th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second. Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the special meeting of June 21st minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve supplemental budget 05-06-22.
So moved.
Thank you, Marty. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the contingency transfer.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn as the 2021-2022 Board of Education.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Action item, administer the oath to our new board members. Lori, is that something you administer for us?
Yes, yep. So we have Larry Drava and Marty have renewed their terms, the 3-year terms. And so in front of you, you each have an oath of office. If you would please read that out loud.
I, Larry Drava, Webster Area School District number 18-5, having been elected or appointed as school board member of the above-named school district in the above-named county, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the laws and Constitution of the United States and the state of South Dakota, and faithfully perform the duties of school board membership and by filing a bond if required by law and having it approved.
I, Martin Lewinga of Webster Area School District number 18-5, have been elected or appointed as school board member of the above-named school district in the above-named county, South Dakota. Do solemnly swear that I will support the laws and Constitution of the United States and the state of South Dakota, and to faithfully perform the duties of school board membership and by filing a bond if required by law and having it approved.
Thank you. With that being done, we will call to order the 2022-23 Board of Education. And at this time, I ask for nominations for chairperson.
I nominate Tom.
Second.
Make a motion that nomination cease.
Second.
There being no other nominations, we have a motion that nominations cease and we cast a unanimous ballot for Tom Sanis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, well, President.
Yeah, well, I was just saying, thanks, Aaron. I know who my true friends are on the board now. All right, I appreciate it, guys. Look forward, we'll see how things go here again. Motion to, for the election of the vice chairman. Second?
Second.
Motion nomination cease.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, motion to approve the monthly claims.
So moved.
Larry, Joel, discussion. Looked pretty normal for a summer to me.
No busing.
No busing and no boiler, it was pretty enjoyable bill paying this month.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the comprehensive special education plan.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion?
I have a copy of the plan here. This is a plan that's drafted by NESC for our special ed co-op. They draft it for all districts, and then we just make sure that the references are to our school districts. So it's a comprehensive plan that basically is utilized by all 24 member districts. It's required by the state. I've got a copy. It's 26 pages or 23 pages. You're sure welcome to read it if you'd like, but it's a formality that we do. Basically just has the policies and guidelines that we follow for special ed.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to close/transfer the bond fund.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Cookies.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? You know, this is a big deal. I mean, it's a nice, Lori, why don't, just so everybody is aware, what are we exactly closing out here?
Yes, this bond fund was set up when the middle school was built. And so we are paying it off a little bit early because we had donations through the, what's that called?
Bearcat pledge.
Yes, through the Bearcat pledge.
The high school.
The high school.
Yes, I'm
Correct.
sorry, the high school, I'm sorry, yes. And so we are paying that off a little bit early. This was an extra tax to help fund that. So that extra tax will now be gone. The remaining funds, which are less than $10,000, they will be transferred into capital outlay.
And that's nice. I mean, taxpayers will no longer see that on their bills when they come due for the Webster Area School District. It's something that obviously was quite a saga to get where they were at, and it's nice to see it done and closed up early, so. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve open enrollment application 22:06.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion?
Welcome aboard.
Yep. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the food service procurement bids. Thank you, Larry. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion?
Two suppliers.
Yes. These are new requirements, you know, that were put in place 3, 4, 5 years ago, and so we have to go out for bids. It is actually a big project. And so one of the companies that we usually deal with did not return a bid.
Oh.
And so we are, you see the two companies there listed. Those are the companies we will be working with this year.
Any further questions, conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next, motion for all these designations, do I have to do each one individually, or can I just start rattling them down?
We still have the federal grants manual.
Oh, forgot it. Is it really that important?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I guess if you say so, Lord. Motion to approve the federal grants manual policy.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
One
Now,
motion.
what's that? One motion?
One motion.
Alright, so do I have to rattle all of these off then, or how do we do that again, Lori? Do I say motion to approve the designation of the official newspaper as,
Well, can we get a motion in a second?
alright? Give me a motion in a second.
Motion,
Thank you,
Second.
Joel.
Second.
Thank you, Marty.
Okay.
And then it will be the official newspaper, the Reporter and Farmer, Depository of Funds, Dakota Bank, Core Trust Bank, Great Western Bank,
First Interstate.
First Interstate.
same, whatever. Custodian of all accounts, Lori, correct?
Yes.
Person authorized for state and federal programs.
Dr. Block?
Appoint approval officers for school food service application and hearing officials.
That is Dr. Block, myself, and I need one board member.
Who was it last year?
It was Aaron.
Do a lot of time on that one last year?
Did.
Alright, you good with that, Aaron?
Yeah, that's fine.
Appoint a member and 2 alternates to the NESC. We only do 1 alternate, don't we?
No, we do two.
Oh boy.
I've done it for the last 3 years, so if somebody else wants to do it.
I did it for the 5 before that. And I'll be the first alternate, it gets to be too many meetings for me and I just can't get to them. But I would definitely be an alternate.
I'll stay on it. It's not a big deal. I just thought I'd offer it.
Yeah, I just can't hit that meeting. It coincides with a lot of other meetings I have.
Second alternate?
I nominate Aaron.
You okay with that, Aaron?
Yeah, I just don't run the same thing if I had to have to, I don't know.
It's the third Monday of the month.
Yeah, it's always the Monday after this one. And oftentimes it's barely a quorum.
Yeah, there are
So-
many meetings where it's just not for a quorum. And that includes, folks that are online or via phone.
In my opinion, if it was something that pressing and you couldn't go, I'd make sure,
The only time I've ever missed it is when we've had our own board meetings going on at
Right.
that time. So,
do they do Zooms now?
yeah. Yeah, that's since COVID, so it's kinda nice, it's been in a basement.
Oh, yeah.
I should start going again.
I'm kind of getting this,
Let me know.
I always make one made Dr. Bach buy the tacos.
But you have to be there early though, right?
It depends on which meeting. There are some steering committee meetings prior to it, so.
Okay.
I'll do the Board of Equalization again. Keep going back and forth here. Truancy officers, is that
Block and Case.
okay? Then we get to Title IX Coordinator.
Case.
We're switching that up. He's gonna be Title IX, I'm gonna be 504, and that's due to the processes that we have to have if we have a Title IX complaint.
School Attorney Rodney Freeman. Purchasing Agent Lori O'Farrell. Person to borrow / invested funds, O'Farrell. School Board meetings, second Monday of each month at 7 p.m. Committee assignments, I was just gonna say, we've got a building project going on, so I don't think we should shift grounds on.
If anybody wants it.
No, I think we should keep the buildings and grounds, and I'd be willing to stay on, negotiations again, and professional practice personnel, I'll stay on both of them.
Just, I guess so the board's aware, when it comes to the building committee thing, we did talk to the school attorney, right? And I'm good to stay on the building committee, even though our firm is working out here. And if anybody doesn't want that, just, I'll gladly walk away and.
You should stay.
You should stay.
Who was on negotiations last year?
Shoemaker and Sanis.
That's good that way.
Huh?
That's good that
That's
way.
good.
I'm okay with, I mean, if you're gonna stay on buildings and grounds, I'll serve my time on that barrel another time.
If somebody else wants, they can have my spot, or I'll do it again, it doesn't matter.
I'm happy with transportation. Are we up for that this year?
No.
Anybody wanna change any other committee assignments?
Aaron, you want on busing?
He is.
I am.
Oh, it's you and I. You want
No,
on
it's
me?
you, it's him and Marty.
Oh, I am off of that one.
Yeah, you
Yep.
got off and went to building.
Okay. Perfect.
Alright, school board salaries, $60 per meeting. Substitute rates,
Hold on now, Tom, should we look at raising that so there's more people to run for
I
office?
lobbied, but I just can't get any traction.
well, if you two gentlemen think we'd get more people jumping on board. I heard somebody one time tell me that, people like to run for the school board so they can go to basketball games. I said, if you're only running for the school board to go to basketball games, you got a low issue district. Substitute rates, $105 per day, long-term sub after 10 days, $130. We wanna look at those rates, gentlemen, based upon the information that was in our books.
I do think we need to raise them this year, when we look at, in comparison to other school districts.
Is that, I missed that one, Lori, is that in the back?
Yep.
It's in the way, way back, yep.
Yep.
Like 5 sheets from the very back. Oh, no, in your budget book
That's where I'm at.
that you brought with.
That's where I'm at.
Oh, okay. It says 21,
Yep.
22 comparisons. And so this is for last year, that's the only information I can give, so, you know, some of these schools could be moving up too.
We are the lowest of the schools, of the 8 schools we compare ourselves to. Our neighbor down the road, Groton, is $20 higher.
And keep in mind, we do share a few subs, so if Langford or Britton or Groton or Wabae beats us to the call, then some of those subs head that way.
Oh, I'll throw out 125.
What's, I'm looking at the bases.
Is that correct? Or
Those are last year's, remember, last year's
that's
basis.
last year's?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, this year's basis still to come.
Yep.
What do you think, Marty, Aaron?
Well, I'm looking at Groton for long term, it stays the same, they didn't change. Dual. So there, long term, it actually drops. Am I reading that right?
Oh, I don't know what that means.
our long term.
I bet that's supposed to be 120. But I have to tell you, for Webster, if we have a person long-term subbing with a certificate, they get 1/180th of pay, so that jumps significantly. This pay is if they're not certified.
Yeah. Our long term is
When-
high.
When was the last time we raised this?
Just a couple years ago, 2 years ago.
We've been trying to move these up.
We do it about every other year for
Yeah,
subbing.
okay.
I'd say that's a probably fair statement.
I don't know, I'd go 115 or 20.
Okay. Aaron, what are you thinking?
I'd go with Joel's 125. Just 'cause that's, an 8-hour day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's just over 15.
Probably.
1575.
63.
What do you think,
That's
Marty?
no Benny, right? They don't get.
Oh, no.
125? All right, so we've got the 125 is the new sub rate. Long-term sub, you know, realistically, do we need to change anything on that since we're, or do we need to change?
Usually we just increase the difference, so then that would go up 25 more.
Ooh,
Now, that might be a little,
I would go to 135.
I'd say, I think that's a better move there compared to where the other schools are.
Yep. And then, like I said, unless they have a certificate, then they get,
Right.
okay.
That's just my opinion.
Marty,
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yep.
Larry?
What happened to 125?
That's well.
You can have it.
We didn't kill that yet.
On the long term, we can come back around if you want that. All right,
Yeah.
so we've got the sub rates, mileage rate, state rate, still the same, and if they change that throughout the year, didn't they just
We
change
can
the state
amend it.
rate? We can amend. All right, folks, lunch prices. We've got where we were at the last, 2 years now have essentially been, or a year and a half have been free. So breakfast, K through 5, $1.70, 6 through 12, $1.85, adult $2.40. The lunch, K through 5, $2.70, 6 through 12, $2.90, adult $4.55. Salad bar, adult only, $4.55. What do we think about lunch prices?
This is gonna be a tough one because I'm afraid that our costs are gonna be up.
In the budget, you're looking 40,000?
Our food purchases this year went up, they skyrocketed. So, but it's very hard to determine because we've had free meals.
Yeah.
We've been getting all of this extra money from the federal government. So I do recommend that we increase it.
Your budget's showing 38,000 roughly.
But it's also hard to determine that because we don't know what the free and reduced
Yeah.
ad numbers are gonna be for this incoming year, so. But also, because of the federal funds that we have received, we do have a little bit of a cushion that we're working with too, to get us through the next year.
We've always tried to keep it right across,
We have,
even in the red.
correct. Supplement if we have to. We want the kids to eat. We know there's the issue with just kids getting meals anyway, hence the PAC program and everything else.
So we're looking at a, $39,000 increase in food cost. $30,000. So
Got a number for us, Lori?
Pardon?
Got a number for us?
I'm looking. Yes.
Any idea how many meals we serve a year?
We do have that in our reports, but I don't have that for you. When I do I'm in the middle of my annual report right now, I'm also doing our food service agreement, and that has to be reported in that, so I think I usually give that to you in your August info.
Yeah.
You would guess that we'd be close to that 400, wouldn't we, just with the lunch, if we have 500, just use the number 500 students, and
Right.
juniors and seniors are usually the kids that are coming home for lunch, correct, Jim? So just take out 2 classes, a couple kids absent here and there. You would estimate 400, well, if you take that times $1.70,
That's 68,000 meals.
68,000 meals, so you take that, if we're up 30,000, 50
50
cents.
cents.
Would take you to 34,000. 40 cents would take you to 28, 29.
And I do have comparisons for other school districts in the back.
Yep.
When I look at adults, we're right in line, seconds, we're right in line, but when I look at our high school, kind of in the middle.
Well, and the thing is that it's hard to compare because these school districts that are blank, because we received free meals this year, they didn't input those numbers, so.
You know, Groton's at 375 for, you know, the 9 through 12, we're at 290. Hamlin's at 335.
What they were at.
Correct, what they were at. You'd have to believe they're going up a little bit too.
So if we went up 40 cents, we'd be right in line with Hamlin and it would still be cheaper than Groton.
If we did $3.50 on the adults, from 5 to 8, that's 60 cents, but that would put us below Hamlin and Groton, where they're at, already at.
You know, if we went to that, you said 40 cents, right? That would be basically if a student ate 170 meals here, that would be $68. If you divide that over 9 months, you know, you're basically talking $7.50 a month, divided by 4 weeks, you're at $1.80, you know, $1.88 a week.
Unknown. You gotta remember, our food costs are still a little unknown.
But if we use that number of having an
Yeah.
increase,
That'd be the
in boom, boom,
increase
and
to
you use
the
the 40,
consumer.
and if you use the 40 cents and the kid ate every single meal 170, that's
Yeah.
what it would be costing them. Boy, you hate to,
It's a gallon of gas, pretty soon.
Well, I'm just thinking of the $3.50 from the 60 cents is still,
well, you know, you just say, like you said, Aaron, a gallon of gas, it's actually, current gas rates, it's, per week, it's not even half a gallon of gas. At $1.88, $2.
I was thinking we'd be in the red at that number,
The 40 cents,
at $3.50.
that'd be 80 cents, right?
60.
60.
I'm just guessing. I don't have a problem being in the red. I don't wanna be too far in the red. And the other thing I'm basing it on, and maybe Aaron can, on what he's noticed, but when it comes to food, it doesn't seem, people don't seem to slow down, do they, when
It's a good thing.
they? Well, you know what I mean, it's surprising. But if we're not too far in the red,
I gotta be, I kinda like that 40 cent number.
well, I do too, I'm just saying, I don't know which,
How much in the red, but we can
Yeah,
always come
that's
back and
my-
adjust.
that's my question, you know.
And Larry, that's what we have budgeted. Are we gonna stay within our budget? You know food costs better than anybody.
I know we're not.
They're gonna rise as the year goes on, so I'm inclined to go along with Larry. I mean, it seems like a very minimal upcharge, but let's face it, every nickel counts in today's day and age, because they're getting sucked out of us everywhere they could get them, you know. And our costs are gonna continue to rise, so.
Alright, so I'm gonna start writing it down so I don't screw it up. Larry, what number are you going?
60.
Alright, I'll throw out, I'd be at the 40. Joel?
Go to Marty first.
We're just going all the way around, Marty's gets a pass.
I guess I said 40 first,
This
so I'll
is
stay
off
there.
the 290, you're going up 40 then?
Yeah,
Versus-
So you're looking at going to,
Are you doing, is this 40 cents every meal? Is that what you're looking at?
I'm looking at the lunch, 40 cents.
Oh,
you know,
just lunches.
Lunches across the board is what I was looking at.
not breakfast?
I figured breakfast at 40 cents would be a little steep. That'd be almost 25%.
Yeah. So we're just talking
I think the lunch is the big number that we have to hit first.
Do a lot of kids eat breakfast?
Joel, our breakfast participation here is not good, and we've done many things over the years to try to get that increased. The last 2 years, because of COVID and free meals, it has increased. So I'm hoping that'll keep carrying over.
So I'm gonna ask a question that I get hit up on a lot as a board member, I'm sure you guys do too, but what we're serving, is that changing? I mean, you know, what we're required to serve is set forth by the Department of Education, correct?
Correct?
But it doesn't seem like, from what I hear, you know, mothers, or I shouldn't say mothers, but parents would like to see more of the old-fashioned meals come back. Why isn't that? I could go out and sell a higher food price if the customers are getting what they want. It'd be easier to sell.
Okay, but first it comes back to our requirements, because we have to report every day, we have a production record we have to report. And I mean, it's like this percentage of sodium and this percentage of, you put all these numbers into it, of exact, I mean, you have to count your little ketchup, your little, and so if you're over this percentage of whatever, so we have to meet those requirements, number one. Okay, number two, I would say would be, you know, staffing. How do you get the staffing for all of back to home? I mean, there's just really no school district that is back to the homemade meals that were so good.
I think where we, and I'm basically going on what I can remember over the years. I think what we've seen is a shift where there's an increased accountability, and in order to meet that accountability in an economical and efficient manner, we're seeing more and more pre-prepared meals. I will also say that we have had cooks in the past, including the ones, you know, even 10, 12 years ago, that would try certain menu items that were more of the hot dish type things, and it just didn't go over well. And I think that's partly due to the change in society. I think our younger generation is used to having more pre-prepared food, whether it's in school, at home, fast food, whatever. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I think it's a combination of those things that we've just veered away from it for multiple reasons.
And could it be that more, you know, back in Marty's day or my day, I mean, nobody really brought lunch with them. Everybody ate at the school.
Yep.
And now more and more are not, or they're bringing their own. And so then as a district, I don't suppose we can afford to make the more expensive meals if we're not using them.
How many restaurants in Dade County serve a sit-down breakfast? There's only one left. That's a thing of the past, you know. Time is,
Good point.
you know,
And I have to say, for our menus, we have them set up on a 6-week rotation. And so, and we have to track, you know, how many kids we serve, what, you know, all of those numbers, and so we try to keep the most popular meals, because that's going, you know, that's how we sell our meals. So those are the menus we try to keep in
So you
rotation.
do try to keep the most popular things on the menu.
Absolutely, because we want the most participation we can get.
Okay?
It's kind of interesting also because we report heights and weights to the State Department, and we get a report back every year. Heather Gaikowski, our nurse, collects those, sends those in, and I just looked, we got that back a few weeks ago. And since 2015, each year, the percentage of those in the obesity range has gone up. And I think this last year, did it go up like 3%, or we're in like the 23 percentile?
1 out of every 4,
I'd have-
23%?
I'd have to double check on that number, and I'm not sure which grades, I don't think it's all grades that we report.
Well, I could see that sitting at home with COVID for the last 2 years.
Right.
see that look around the room.
Is the salad bar a popular thing? Do a lot of kids use that?
You'd be surprised, a lot do.
Yeah, they do.
They eat more of the things out there than I would.
But I
Is that
wouldn't look, I wouldn't look at our meals, I'm just bringing that up for an FYI, but I think our society they're not in motion like they used to be back in our day.
And I
Well,
have
there's no
to,
question, there's studies out there that say most high school students that graduate can't pass the PT test to go in the military anymore. It's a big problem for the recruiting for the armed forces, the obesity level. I mean, it's a huge problem. So it's not just us, I mean, it's the nation, it's an issue.
and back to our meals, for seconds, we do have to increase that price because the state requires, we have set $1. Well, whatever the main entree is for that day, we have to be able to they tell us, I don't know if it's like a taco or whatever it may be. Amanda knows what the exact cost is for that main entree, and our second cost price has to be more than that. And so, you know, the state just told us your seconds are a little low. So we do have to increase that. And another point I want to make is, even if they can't, our salad bars, we do not charge seconds, so they can come back for salad bar. The only thing they get charged seconds for, the main entree.
All right, we're gonna keep this thing rolling. Joel, are you still on your 40?
Yes.
All right, Marty.
What was that number that you said, like the break even, when you were doing that math a little while ago?
Oh,
50.
50.
50?
50 is where he started, and then 40 would be less, but it
and
wasn't a break
then
even.
you went to 60.
Based on last year,
Yeah,
50. And I'm just
I'll
projecting
go with
it to be
Larry
60.
60.
okay. All right, Aaron, comes down to you.
You went with Larry's 60?
Yep.
I wanna go with the 40. 3/3 then,
Okay, so we've got it, 40 cents across the board on lunch. Seconds for the main entree, let's just knock that out. Do we just need to go to $1.50? Is
Yes.
that covers us? Are we okay with the $1.50, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. Then breakfast,
25 cents.
Joel starts it off with
Oh,
25
wait a minute, I was
cents.
looking at the adult portion. I'd say 20 cents.
Well, Joel, 20 cents. Marty? I'd actually say 30 cents, just I'll throw it out there for conversation.
What's Hamlin serve for breakfast?
whatever you want.
Well, they're so much cheaper than.
But
An
a
apple.
large percentage of, but a large percentage of their population is from Northeast. So they can keep.
They get
their
reimbursements for their lunch.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but their lunch and everything is higher.
What are you thinking, Marty?
Well, I'm looking at the prices, and it's about 2/3, the breakfasts are about 2/3 of the price of lunch. So, I don't know, we're going up 40 on that. You said 30?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say 30 on that.
Aaron,
Good.
30?
Yep.
Larry?
Yeah.
Okay. 30 cents it is on the breakfast. Okay. We good to go, Lori, on everything?
So far.
All right, meal reimbursement rates, stick with the state rates again?
Yes.
Yes.
Same rates as there, okay? Admission prices, any change from last year?
I guess I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything. Have we seen anybody else going up across the
Have not.
Northeast Conference? Okay. Armory key cards, any change from last year? I'm good.
I'm good with them.
What was reduced 50% after July 1st? What was that?
They run January through December, so halfway through the year is July. And so,
Say you wanna come in September, and you just moved here or something, and then you wanted to buy it, you wouldn't have to pay the whole year.
we have had some that wanna do it on a monthly basis and then only be here like during the summer, but
We just made it one policy to fit.
Yeah.
Either it's a year or it's half, that's it. Everybody good with the Armory key card rates?
Yes.
All right. All right, all in favor of everything we just got done saying, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, discussion items, superintendent report, Dr. Block.
So academically, there's not a whole lot to discuss. Just continue to work on what we normally do during the summer. We'll start to get prepared for the preschool, pre-calendar in-services. I know Mr. Case has some training arranged with behavioral management on the first day. There was some confusion with our our in-service dates. And we had made an amendment to the calendar that I had requested once we learned when Northern State University was doing their back-to-school event. I try to use a corresponding date, and I'll do that again in the future, hopefully it doesn't change. But I neglected to put on the calendar, or change on the calendar, the back-to-school barbecue. We originally had the 17th and the 18th as our in-service, and the 18th was the back-to-school barbecue, and I forgot to change that to the 22nd. Now, the reason we do the back-to-school barbecue on the second in-service date is because the first day is, we've just got far too many things to cover in order to prepare for a back-to-school barbecue that day. Plus, the teachers' classrooms aren't ready, and then they have work the day after. So I've amended, or not amended, but I've edited the calendar so that the back-to-school barbecue is on Monday, the 22nd. And so there were some folks that had asked me about it, and I'm like, no, it's on the 22nd, it's usually on the second in-service date that we have, but the general public wouldn't always know that that's our goal. So I apologize for that mistake, and actually it was some organizations that were doing some planning as well, and they wanted to know which night we were having back-to-school barbecue, so I'm glad they caught it early, so we can let folks know. Other than that, I'm still working on finding an art teacher. I've got a couple of leads that I actually met with somebody today. I'm meeting with somebody tomorrow. I can tell you that we don't have any certified applicants. We did advertise it so that we would, consider non-certified applicants if needed, and that's kind of where we're at. So I'll update you as soon as I can on that once I know something a little bit more sound. The other thing that I had on the only thing that I had listed on my notes was the student council stipend. This has been kind of an ongoing discussion. It goes all the way back to, I think, February, where I had a committee of teachers talk about, can we get a paid stipend for the student council rather than me serving in that position with dual positions that I have, so maybe somebody on staff could do it. I don't know what's fair, what's not. When I look at our negotiated agreement and the idea, and I'm just throwing this number out, this is not anything to approve, it's just discussion, which eventually will be placed in the budget. When I look at the closest thing that I can see for a timeline would probably be our STEM advisors, which take care of the robotics. To me, I would be looking at about a $560, $580 stipend for a high school student council advisor. They would take care of the homecoming week. We have had a winter formal in the past. They also take care of the winter week in the spring, as well as the state student council convention if we do have students that wish to go to that, take care of the elections on a yearly basis. So I was looking in that $560, $580 range. I have no idea if anybody who was on that committee would be interested in doing it for that amount. But I figured if I went to 1,000, I'm kind of overrunning some of the positions that we have that I know do quite a bit of work. It might be a shorter span during the school year, but it's an extended amount of work within a 2-3 month period. So as for the stipends with other districts, it ranged from most administrators doing it with no stipend to some teacher advisors being assigned to it with no stipend, all the way up to $4,200 for a stipend. So, and of course that's a range from one of your smallest districts in the state all the way from one of your largest districts in the state. So I didn't really get a whole lot of useful information from the Northeast Student Council's advisors because it was such a range. So merely discussion. If you have questions or comments or whatever, you can share that. That's all I have for the superintendent's part.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Block? Thank you, Dr. Block. Mr. Case?
Just to share with you, I did have an ad out for a paraprofessional for special ed. I actually would need 3 of those, and I've only had 1 applicant. And I think I have that person saying yes to that. So we'll go through the criminal background check and all that, so if any of you know of anybody looking for a job for paraprofessional in here, send them my way. You know, I did first start with the advertisement in the paper, and then I went and I sent it out on our alert to all the parents so that they got it and could spread it. And I did add it to Facebook, and I did add it to our website. So I think I don't know, maybe throw it in the paper again here and.
I think, if you don't mind me just
Yeah.
interjecting, it's kind of the sign of times. The art position was advertised statewide in all of the newspapers, also through the Associated School Boards. And then Darlene Dulitz is always passionate about us finding quality art teachers since she's retired. She sent out quite a lengthy information about the community, and she did a really nice job. Sent that out via the art teachers listserv, see if there's anybody that may be interested. We did have some applicants in previous years through that mode, but unfortunately this year we didn't. This year's resignation of the art teacher was later than we typically had though, so that's all part of it. But we're seeing this statewide and probably nationwide. There's just fewer and fewer qualified applicants for teaching and or pairs and things like that, so.
Are there any avenues through the, the Northeast Superintendent's group, or any of your groups, that you guys can pool resources to go out and try to find people? I mean, are there any ways that, working outside of the normal, no offense, Caleb, but we don't get any traction with newspaper ads anymore either. I mean, it's going out and finding different avenues to go out and recruit these people.
Every year we have conversations about this, starting in February, March. That's when you start to see the openings. We contact universities individually. I didn't advertise this one in North Dakota, but I have an account with their Associated School Boards type of a program up in North Dakota. But I know several superintendents in North Dakota, and they're having the same issue, even with higher salaries. If you compare North Dakota salaries and South Dakota salaries, there is more of a funding revenue in that state with their natural resources than what we have, but that's not always the solution either.
Does SDEA go out and recruit people?
Not that I know.
I don't think so.
You would think that they would.
Well, they recruit members once they're teachers.
I know, but you would think, to get the members, they need people in the profession. So why aren't they out there working?
I think we need to give them
I
credit.
don't remember
I
it.
do know that they promote education and people going into education. They're probably one of the largest promoters within the state, which they should be. We do have, it's still a very young organization within the state. I'm not going to remember the name of it. It's a teacher association. It's kind of like FCCLA for teachers. And we asked, I actually had it in the announcements this spring to see if we had any members that would be interested in it. We didn't have a single student that we were aware of that wanted to go into education. Or there was so few of them that, they didn't really want to participate in an organization with one or two people.
Has there ever been any discussion along the lines of, and this probably won't fly because we're publicly funded, but like with the Build Dakota, but
We have asked that, when will Build Dakota eventually be for teachers?
yes.
It is such an astronomical cost to put something like that in place. It would be a great program, but it would be a significant cost to the state.
Big investment considering
Huge.
we might not stick with it. Yeah.
But every year we ask that, is there ever any talk at the state level of Build Dakota being for teachers?
Probably when Sioux Falls can't fill 20% of their positions, otherwise, no. I'm a pessimist.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No,
if you got
that's
more things to
fine. So I think just by word of mouth, or if you know of somebody out there, and I'll send an email out to my teachers again, and they might know somebody that has just moved here, or maybe looking for a career change or something. I know nobody's going to, oh, Webster has a paraprofessional opening, we're gonna move there. Probably won't.
But if there's somebody out there looking to make a difference, I'm speaking as a parent right now.
Right.
Those paraprofessionals have an amazing impact on those kids. So if there's somebody out there looking to make an impact,
Right.
there's a spot to do it.
Yeah, they have a large responsibility, and their task is difficult at hands, and the ones that we currently have now are doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
We might be, well, it's not a might, we are also experiencing the issue of the amount that we're paying. I think we have increased our para pay, we're in that $13-14 range for starting. But you can hear that, you know, somebody in McDonald's can start at $16-17 an hour. Now granted, we don't have McDonald's in town, but you're still competing with that type of issue within, and so that's an ongoing issue.
Then we need to address that, you know,
And I believe we have, it's just,
Yeah.
we maybe aren't keeping up with.
but if it's an ongoing
Like the
issue,
others,
we
yeah.
need to be kept in the loop and make sure that we're keeping up with
In last meeting I had in June, I was talking to the Watertown superintendent, and they just made the move up to $14.50 is what they're starting out at in Watertown for pairs.
And
So
and they're struggling.
That's right where we're at.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're close to it, aren't we?
yeah.
That's right where we're at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Case?
No.
All right, NESC.
The only thing that I have is, at the last meeting, they were just continue to seek staff, mostly in the school psychologist area, but they have some pairs that they haven't filled in certain center bases in certain areas across this co-op. Nothing too significant.
Okay. Buildings and grounds.
I actually have quite a few things to share with you on that. I'll just kind of go through the list verbally. We had a pre-construction meeting on July 6th, and from there, they're still working on insurance contracts, timelines. They did get that information to us. I did sign the contracts. Jack signed the contract from JDH, and then they were drafted by Architect Incorporated. Just a few things that have come up. There's some contingencies on equipment and materials with the timeline. Right now, things still look like they can move pretty good. We did have some possible damage to one of the boilers that arrived. The boilers are supposed to be identical. One of them has a pipe coming out the side that comes out straight, and the other one is at an angle. And so I alerted both Architect Inc. and Sickmiller Engineering about that as soon as we knew about it. And it was the delivery truck driver that actually noted those. It's not anything that happened when we unloaded them with our forklift or anything like that. So they're working on that to make sure that everything is taken care of, that those boilers are in good working order or replaced. The shop electrical, there's just a couple of things that they wanted to mention in the agreement that we signed. The shop electric, when they did that quote, it was a new electrical company that did the newest quote. Their quote included surface mount electrical in the wood shop, the ag shop, those things. They asked me if that was an okay thing, or would you prefer to get a different bid for them to do it inside the precast. I think it's fine to do surface mount in a shop area. And so I said, well, we do that, or it would probably take longer to get those casts made for precast too, I suppose, because there's a little bit more engineering involved with that. Ceiling height in the hallway, we're okay going with the north and south wing here, or the hallway that goes north and south with height. There is an issue with this one here, and the only reason I'm mentioning is they will remove all of the false ceiling in the corridors, the hallways, in order to place the pipes that they need in place for the boiler and cooler. Don't have quite the headroom that they would like to have when they're installing multiple pipes along this east-west run here. And so they will need to bring, because the rafters or the trusses are in the way, they'll need to bring the ceiling height down about 6 inches. They asked if that was okay. I said, we probably wouldn't even know if you had done it, we didn't know, because we have currently 9 foot plus corridor hallways. Our hallway in the middle school is the lowest, and that was at about 8'4". it'll still be above what that height is. Start day is projected for a week from today, July 18th. There might be some preliminary work, or we've done some preliminary work in-house actually. If you walk down to the high school office, all of the cabinets have been removed. Mike Nikki assisted me with getting those moved. They're in storage in a classroom in the middle school that we use as an extra classroom. Everything is out of the high school office. I have moved my office over to the business office area in the old superintendent's office. It's a superintendent/tech office, but pretty much kicked our tech coordinator out of there. So I am currently over there. Need to talk about camera upgrades. I've got a couple other things verbally that I can mention. Concrete, the footings and concrete are a priority. There was some discussion about whether or not there'd be some things done in the parking lot. Very possible that the parking lot may not be complete, might be gravel or some other surface, may not be usable right away or even through a good portion of the winter, depending on what kind of surface we get put in that place. And it's just contingent on the progress of the project as well as weather. We're working on a lot of different things. We're getting new audio systems in all of the classrooms, and that was COVID money that we're using for that. And so we wanted to move forward with that. Well, in the midst of another larger project, we now have to coordinate that. We're gonna have some rooms that we're not gonna put those systems into right away because they might end up in the new career in tech ed. And some of the questions that have come up is whether or not the intercom works in all of the pieces and parts of the building that we need it to. We did have some difficulties with the elementary intercom. And so we've got to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work with the new system and our old system together. And so obviously with the heightened concerns of safety in our country, we want to make sure that we've got all those things working. So I'm just kind of not piecing that together, but looking at those pieces to make sure that we've got a working intercom system in all parts of our building, regardless if it's new or old. And that might take a little bit of working with the multiple companies. We discussed the security and safety with workers in the building. There will be workers in the building for the boiler room. How far into the school year? Right now, the completion date is actually in September, possibly October for that portion of it. I think to get it up and running is actually November 1st for a new boiler running. That's our goal. And so there's potential for some workers to be in the facility. And we just talked about how are they going to come and go, how are we going to identify them. The brief discussion that we had was that each person would have a company logo on their uniform. And we'd probably inform our secretary staff and our teaching staff that this is the list of the folks that should have that, and keep track of things the best that we can in that manner. One of the things that came up recently is, and Martin, you probably understand this as a science teacher, we currently have an exterior propane gas line, or a propane tank, that feeds into the middle school science lab, which then feeds into the high school science lab. And because the middle school science lab is going to be remodeled into a high school special ed room, that manifold that's in there is going to be gone. And so I was a little concerned about, well, are they going to be taking that out right away? We're going to have gas to the high school, and the gas right now goes underground into the middle school, and it's not going to happen in the high school. What kind of thing is going to involve there? We're actually going to have natural gas for our science lab in the future. It's going to happen. They'll probably rough it in. It's actually a line that goes by there already. They'll rough it in so that they can hook up once the propane tank is gone. The only problem with that is these are little things that you don't know about. Is the Bunsen burners are configured to run propane, and we'll need to buy new Bunsen burners. I don't know, but that's what.
I would guess that the valve.
There are some issues with the Bunsen burners. That if you go to natural gas, there's got to be some sort of conversion. Typically, if you have old Bunsen burners, it's not going to be worth keeping or converting. So, just I only bring those things up because there's just a lot of little things like that, and a lot of things that can sometimes be large things that we're going to learn about them as we go. We're trying to keep track of it and predict as much as we can. The camera system is one thing I did want to mention to you, and this, again, it's merely discussion tonight, I'm not asking for any answers. But what's in the project for cameras is rough ends, so that we have the ability to put new cameras into the career and tech ed wing. And so there's no cameras in the project budget, there's only rough ends for it. Now, one of the issues that we are dealing with is we have, I wouldn't say it's an aging system, but technically it is. Our first camera system was installed in the fall of 2001. And we have since upgraded our DVRs, as you might call them, probably, I want to say 3 times since then. The very first upgrade was because we only had a minimal number of cameras and we wanted a larger amount of cameras, so that was our first upgrade, and the others is just over time. We're on an analog system. The way to go in the future, if you're doing anything new with cameras, is to go with IP cameras. So this is one of those things, we're running into a situation where we have old cameras and we're gonna get new cameras, and to retro, so that your new can work on your old system, can cost you a fair amount of money. And so, what I've given you here is, I have different quotes, and I X'd out the specific details of the quotes because I think it's only fair to the vendor that we've discussed with, and have the cameras with, is that their numbers aren't out there for the future. But it's expensive, as you can see. Option 1 is to basically keep what we have in our K through 12 building and get new cameras for the career and tech ed, and then you have to have a compatibility system that allows IP and analog to both work together, and you're looking at approximately $70,000. Option 2 is to just completely replace all cameras K through 12 with IP cameras. And that's gonna be $90,000. So for $20,000 difference from option 1, you're going with completely new cameras. I would, well,
Same amount of cameras too?
yes, I have that written down as to or I have maps as to the current camera places that we have, plus the camera locations we hope to have in the career and tech ed facility. As for old cameras, they're all analog right now, K-12. And so the only thing that would be IP in the future would be 4 or 5 cameras in the career and tech ed, and the rest would be old. And so you see the difference. The $20,000 is probably, just updating cameras alone is probably, if we were to upgrade our current cameras, you'd see that cost alone. This can be done all this year, it can be done part this year and part next year, or it can be done all next year. In asking Lori about how all this works, because I didn't have this in the budget. Was I aware of it? I was aware that we were gonna need to do something. I wasn't aware of the amounts until I got the quotes, and then I went, whoa, this is way more than I was anticipating. And so, in conversation with her, is whenever it occurs, if it's not budgeted for the current budget, then it's a matter of amending the budget or taking out of the supplemental budget, and it comes out of the fund balance. Option 3 is to completely get an entirely new quote or bid from another company. I think that will exist if there's interest by other companies, because we legally have to advertise with the cost of a project like this. So once we advertise, there's the ability that we could be contacting some other, or some others may submit bids. It's a lot. So I wanted to mention it now so that as we move forward, we've got some thoughts behind this, and hopefully some ideas what we're going to do in the future.
Well,
I
regardless.
wish I didn't throw it at you like
we were
this, but
gonna have to do something with
Yeah.
these at some point anyways, right?
yeah.
I think the issue too also is, number one, think we should all try to be looking into, with that bipartisan bill that was passed, there was funding for school districts. And if any of these things can help fit within that category, it might be nice if we can be ahead of that. I haven't seen anything come out for grant applications, but obviously if we could find some of that funding, that would help. I think it's also just important that we get the information out. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when we graduated, school boards weren't sitting there thinking of spending $1,000 on a camera system in the 1980s. I mean, was there a camera system in the school in the 1980s? 1990s? When did we first get our camera system?
The middle school was built in 1991, and they did have, I think, 2 cameras in the main computer lab, and 1 camera in the advanced computer lab where the elementary music classroom is now. So I think there was 3 cameras total.
And just in the computer labs?
Yes. Yeah. And that was to protect the investment of the technology.
That was Joel's generation. My generation, no cameras, good kids. But, it's just a cost of doing business. And we will have to do something with our doors. I mean, it's just, that's what we're gonna have to do. And those things aren't cheap.
The doors part, that is part of the project.
But it's still something we have to add
Yes,
on.
we hope to reuse the actual doors, and we hope to use the hardware. Minimally, we're gonna use the hardware, so our doors will be, as soon as they're over here, they will be functioning with what we currently have.
Good.
So that part's, that's the only part of the project.
And maybe with a little bit of time, like you said, with, stuff, maybe there's gonna be something with security, and so we can say we're trying to update security, or
How do you find out about those things? Or
There's definitely gonna be security
we get notified from the state.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the Homeland Security Office, Brett, he's from Roscoe originally, Garland, he's constantly sending out
Okay.
information. Hasn't sent anything regarding new grants. We currently have the ability to get funds from the Homeland Security grants, but each county gets a certain amount of money, and so like if the county has some things that they'd like to do, and Waubee has some things they'd like to do, and we have some things, and it's really not, I don't know what the budget is, but it's not a sizable amount to begin with. We have replaced some cameras that were faulty, or upgraded some minor things with some Homeland Security grants in previous years,
Years ago.
but it's been a few years ago.
All right, anything else? Buildings and grounds?
Unless you have questions for, as you can see, there was quite a bit of interest in the, in the blocks, the retaining wall. They're pretty much all gone. And that happened over the weekend, so.
Okay. Motion to move into executive session for negotiations.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. Discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next meeting is Monday, August 8th. Is that still good? Good. All right. Monday, August 8th, 7 o'clock. Is our first football game that Friday?
I don't know.
Or is it the
No.
weekend?
Too early.
19th.
19th.
19th. Still get 3 in before Labor Day.
One before school starts. Or is school- yeah, one before school.
That means it'd be 3 before Labor Day. Back in the day, you didn't start football games
I know.
until after Labor Day.
Right.
Again, back in the day.
I should stop saying back in the day.
Yeah, you're
That's
making
on.
yourself.
So wasn't there a law passed saying you couldn't start school till after Labor Day?
Yeah.